The Galactic Council's xenobiology database contained over 14 million entries, each cataloging the dominant species of worlds across the known galaxy. In the section labeled Apex Predators, one entry stood out for its brevity and the addendum that followed. Species: Vorthac prime hunters. Classification: extinct. Last recorded sighting: 2387 Standard Galactic Time. Cause of extinction: human colonization of Kepler 442b. Addendum: see attached Human Species Risk Assessment, Priority Alpha. Dr. Zilthara's tentacles quivered as she reviewed the file for the 100th time. As the Council's leading expert on predator-prey dynamics, she had been tasked with understanding how an entire apex species could vanish within a single colonial generation. The answer lay buried in surveillance footage from the human settlement of New Colorado. The Vorthac had ruled Kepler 442b for over 3 million years. Standing 12 feet tall on 6 powerful legs, their exoskeletons could deflect most energy weapons. Their mandibles could shear through steel, and their acid sacs could dissolve titanium. Most terrifying of all were their neural spines, venomous barbs that could pierce any known armor and inject neurotoxins that paralyzed prey while keeping them conscious for the feeding process. When the first human survey team landed on Kepler 442b, the Vorthac had observed them with predatory interest. These soft, pink creatures seemed laughably fragile compared to the armored behemoths that had previously challenged Vorthac dominance. The humans carried primitive projectile weapons and simple energy tools. Their skin could be pierced by a child's claw, and they possessed no natural armor whatsoever. The first attack came at dawn on Sol Day 15 of the colony's establishment. 3 Vorthac emerged from the crimson forest, their neural spines gleaming with fresh venom. They had selected what appeared to be the weakest humans, a female tending to small offspring near the settlement's edge. The surveillance footage showed what happened next. The woman, identified as Maria Santos, a former military engineer, calmly placed her children behind a prefabricated wall. Then she did something the Vorthac had never encountered in 3 million years of apex predation: she called for help. Within 30 seconds, 17 humans had surrounded the 3 Vorthac. They moved with coordinated precision, communicating through radio devices. The Vorthac, accustomed to solitary hunting, found themselves facing a pack predator unlike anything in their evolutionary experience. The battle lasted 4 minutes. The humans lost 2 colonists, but all 3 Vorthac died. More importantly, the humans had recorded everything, analyzing the creature's movement patterns, weak points, and attack strategies in real time. When the second Vorthac hunting party arrived, the humans were ready. Dr. Zilthara paused the footage as a human named Commander Hayes addressed his people. They're fast, but they can't turn quickly at full speed. The neural spines have a recharge cycle of 8 seconds. Their exoskeletons are weakest at the joint between the third and fourth legs. Aim for the neural cluster behind the primary eyes, it's their processing center. The humans had done in days what should have taken millennia. They had completely analyzed and cataloged their new predator. But the Vorthac's extinction didn't come from direct confrontation. It came from something far more insidious: human persistence. The colonists began hunting Vorthac systematically. They used drones to map nest locations, chemical analysis to track pheromone trails, and acoustic sensors to identify mating calls. When they discovered that Vorthac young were vulnerable for the first 6 months of life, human hunting parties began targeting nurseries. It's not personal, Commander Hayes had explained to his team. But we can't coexist with something that sees our children as prey. Either they adapt or they disappear. The Vorthac, for their part, tried to adapt. They began hunting in larger groups, modified their attack patterns, and even attempted to relocate to the planet's southern continent. But for every adaptation, the humans countered with new strategies. They developed specialized ammunition that could penetrate Vorthac exoskeletons, created pheromone lures to confuse hunting parties, and established perimeter defenses that could detect Vorthac approach patterns from miles away. Most devastating of all was human psychological warfare. They began broadcasting Vorthac distress calls during mating season, disrupting reproductive cycles. They introduced modified Earth bacteria that caused painful but non-lethal infections, weakening Vorthac immune systems. They even used sonic weapons that exploited frequency ranges that caused Vorthac disorientation. The final blow came when the humans discovered the Vorthax religious gathering ground, a sacred cave system where the species had performed ritualistic dominance displays for thousands of generations. Instead of simply attacking, the humans waited until the largest gathering in Vorthax history, then collapsed the entire cave system with carefully placed explosives. In the aftermath, fewer than 200 Vorthax remained on the entire planet. Dr. Zilthara watched the final footage entry, a lone Vorthax, scarred and limping, approaching the human settlement with what appeared to be surrender posture. Commander Hayes met it at the perimeter fence. The conversation was brief and recorded by the human's universal translator. "Your species yields?" Hayes asked. "We acknowledge your dominance," the Vorthax replied, its voice crackling with pain. "We did not understand. You are not prey. You are something else." "We're survivors," Hayes said simply. "And we're very good at it." The last Vorthax died 3 days later, apparently from a combination of infected wounds and what human colonists described as loss of will to live. Dr. Zilthara closed the file and began composing her report to the Galactic Council. The humans had requested permission to establish colonies on 17 additional worlds, all of which contained apex predator species. Based on her analysis, she had no choice but to recommend approval, not because the humans deserved those worlds, but because the alternative was having them take the worlds anyway. At the bottom of her report, she added a personal note that would become famous throughout the galaxy. Humanity's greatest weapon is not their technology, their unity, or their adaptability. It is their absolute refusal to accept the role of prey. When faced with a superior predator, most species either flee or evolve better defenses. Humans choose a third option: they evolve into something more dangerous than their predators ever were. The Vorthax were apex predators for 3 million years. The humans replaced them in less than 3 years. I recommend we never give them a reason to view us as prey. The Galactic Council unanimously approved the human colonial expansion request. It was, they decided, the safer choice.